Hill Kings Podcast.
Welcome to the Dairy Duchess Love Factory.
No one's gonna know what that reference is, man. That episode's never coming out.
It's never coming out.
So we recorded episode 8 of season 1 for the third time.
This is Hill Kings Pod, by the way.
Yeah, sure. Welcome back.
Hey, hello.
We don't know if this is ever gonna get released either, because shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
We recorded a whole episode for the third time.
Mhm.
No technical difficulties. Edited
Nope.
the bitch like a goddamn saint.
Technically perfect.
It was
However,
a good episode. It was fun. We had a bit.
we got too excited.
We had a bit throughout the episode. I don't remember how it came up, but we were playing the song MILF Money.
MILF Money by Fergie Fergalicious. It came up because of the TV guide had it.
Yeah,
had an
there was-
episode
yeah.
on it called Milk Money, and that's
Yeah.
how we talked about MILF Money.
Yeah. So throughout the episode, I was playing the song a lot, and the Fergie's record label didn't like that very much.
No, so we're currently in a protracted legal battle because we're trying to buy the rights to the song. That's
Yeah,
how
we
much we want you to hear the
are
app.
being sued by Fergie.
We're countersuing.
We are countersuing. Subscribe to the Patreon to support us monetarily and see
in our
pictures
legal
of our
battle
feet.
against
Yeah.
Fergie Fergalicious.
Yeah, Fergie Fergalicious. But I might have a workaround, so that episode might, by the time this gets posted, the episode might exist. You guys may understand the Dairy Duchess love factory. Flip it,
So
whip it, hey.
if you are looking for season 1, episode 8, Shins of the Father, it does exist. And
It does
maybe we
exist.
have it out.
Yeah.
Maybe we only put it out on audio. Would that work? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that
Who
might
knows?
work. Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk. We're
Yeah.
not here to talk about season 1, episode 8, Chris. That's in the past. I'm never watching that fucking episode again because
Oh,
I've had to
God.
watch it too many times. We're here to
Yes.
talk about episode 6 of season 2, Husky Bobby.
Husky Bobby. Yes.
What'd you think of this one? It's all about
Um,
Bobby being fat and Hank not liking that.
Honestly, it was a little mid for me.
I liked it.
It's wholesome and fun. It's
Well, it's also
good.
not because Hank is being a horrible father. But
Yeah,
the ending is really
we'll get into
funny.
Hank. Yeah, the
Yeah,
ending
we'll
is
get
my
into it. Yeah.
the ending is my favorite part for sure.
I've been on Hank's team this whole season.
Yeah.
I've been rooting for my guy. I thought I was really turning around on Hank. I loved him in the last episode, in the jump and crack bass one. I loved him in the
Yeah.
Halloween one. He's been my Hill King multiple times, and Buddy took a turn in this one. And I didn't like him very much.
Yeah,
But
we'll
that
get
was
into
kind of the
that.
point. Yeah.
We'll get into it for sure. But why don't you take us back into the time machine for a little This Week in Arlen?
You want to hop into the time machine, brother?
Yes, dude. Yeah, and while we're in it, let's go back and not play so much MILF Money.
All right.
Some Queso.
Welcome back to This Week in Arlen. Everyone knows that this is the segment of the show where we take a look at what was going on in the world at the time of this episode. This episode, episode 6 of King of the Hill, season 2, came out on November 9th, 1997, kicking it off with a look at the TV guide.
AKA Veterans Day.
Ah,
Yeah.
hats off.
First Chris fact of the episode. It's also
Moment
I
of
think,
silence, man. I started playing Fergie.
It's also my friend Justin's birthday, November Reliance. Shout out November 9th. Shout out to Justin.
Free shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So, anything stand out here on the TV guide immediately?
A couple things. ABC's airing Into Thin Air, Death on Everest, which we talked about in our recap, in our season 1 recap episode, I believe. We talked about that.
We talked about the Crack Hour book.
Yeah.
And the event in which this is based on, which
Yeah.
happened in 96. Crazy that they turned around a book and a movie in a year's time.
Yeah, man. They were really trauma farming
A
in the 90s.
tight turnaround.
Angels in the End Zone. I don't know if I've seen
Oh
that
God,
one.
that
That
sounds
Disney.
familiar.
Uh
Yeah. No, I've
it's
definitely seen that.
that's different than Angels in the Outfield, the baseball movie, if you guys are
Is this?
familiar with
Oh shit,
that.
I was thinking of Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, no, this is like I guess a Disney one. Shout out to Angels in the
I think
Outfield though.
Angels
That's a
in the
good one.
Outfield was Disney too, right?
No, I don't think so.
All Al the Angel returns. Yeah, this is a fucking
Oh, okay.
sequel, dude.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize it.
Returns, but this time he visits a small town and manages to halt the losing tradition of the high school football team, also changing forever the lives of two young brothers who have recently lost their father. Initial release November 9th, 1997. Has Christopher
Interesting.
Lloyd in the bish.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. We got World's Funniest Something on Fox. It's just
You know,
World's
it's just the
Funniest.
world's funniest. Yeah.
Um,
Hour-long episode of the Jamie Foxx show.
yeah, and speaking of trauma farming, Dateline is doing Survivor's Towering Inferno.
This is pre 9/11.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Let's see what else is going on down here. Yeah, an hour of the Jamie Foxx
And I
show.
feel like this might be like the premiere of the Jamie Foxx show.
Um,
Also,
no, we've
where
seen.
is Third Rock from the Sun?
Yeah, I think they've been slowly phasing Third Rock from the Sun out there.
This was like peak Third Rock from the Sun. Maybe the season just hadn't started yet because they
I
had
like.
just won Emmys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we talked about
Dang.
it last time the Emmys came around.
I like the title of the Unhappily Ever After episode, Tiffany the Homewrecker. It's got a 2.6 rating. Love that.
I
Uh,
think that was how many people watched.
and then
2.6 million.
all right already again with Jessica's boyfriend
Again with the
again.
boyfriend.
Uh,
Can we
tell
talk
us.
about The Simpsons for a minute?
I could feel you were trying to get to it. Bart
So,
Star.
yeah, you'll see in the next slide here a little screen cap of the episode. This is another very good example of the phenomenon that I have brought up in the past called jerk Homer, which is
I
what
will not.
essentially happened. Yeah, you
I'm gonna come.
Do not come.
uh essentially when they just kind of change Homer's character from being like lovable oaf who genuinely cares about his family to being like a complete piece of shit and a dickhead. This episode's a pretty good example of that. Bart joins the football team, and Homer is so mean to Flanders that Flanders quits, and Homer has to take over as the coach. And he's
Oh,
just like a
interesting.
dick to all the children, and he makes Bart the quarterback, even though Bart sucks, and Nelson is the good quarterback. It's a
Huh.
pretty mid episode. I did watch it in preparation for this. Um, I'll give it for my alley score, 2 Duff beers.
Okay.
And what did you think of the episode?
I don't
Welcome
think I
back to
have
the
seen this one.
Simpsons
I'm about to
Springfield podcast, where we talk all about the Simpsons. This week we're talking about season
Bart
9,
Star.
Bart Star. Welcome back to my new podcast
Hello. Sorry, I was spaced out there for a second. I was jotting a note, something about the King of
about
the
the
Hill
Simpsons
episode popped
episode.
into. No,
Dude, we're not here to talk about King of the Hill. This is the Simpsons guys
I
podcast.
feel like I am in the Twilight Zone episode redo part 2 or 3.
Redux.
Redux.
Okay, we'll move on from the
Jerk
Simpsons.
Homer.
Uh, so this movie Outbreak that aired
Yes.
immediately following Men Behaving Badly on NBC, there
Uh-huh.
may be a reference to this movie in this episode of King of
There
the Hill.
is.
Did you
There
look at that as
is.
well?
I did pick up on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So a movie about a a pandemic that is started by a monkey.
Wow, that'll never become relevant in the future.
And
Whoa.
we also, I have a slide here on, Into Thin Air, uh, adaptation of Krakauer's book, of course. pretty quick that they turned this around so quickly.
Mhm.
Also in movie news, though, freaking Starship Troopers came out
Heck yeah, dude.
the Friday before.
Nice.
So
That's a
I hadn't seen
classic.
this in a really long time, but it has Denise Richards in it. So
I'm doing my part. For those of you youngins that have ever seen the meme of I'm doing my part, I didn't do shit. I'm doing my part soldiers come from this movie. And the I didn't do shit, I think, is that some show that I can't remember it.
Nice. Well, shout out to Denise Richards.
Yeah, her eyebrows are looking good in that shot.
On fleek.
Yeah, dude.
The Ozman Cometh came out. This is an Ozzy Osbourne greatest hits album.
Interesting.
Kind of a soft week in music.
Hmm.
Good week in sports, video games, and sports, though.
Nice.
In sports news, NBA Live 98 came out.
Hell yeah.
An old EA PlayStation 1 NBA game. I remember playing this.
I don't exactly remember playing a ton of this, but I do vividly remember that Crunch Bar ad that you have.
Yeah, dude, Crunch Bars were big in the 90s.
Do remember. Yeah, dude.
Remember Crunch Bars?
Dude, they've disappeared these days.
Do you still see them around Halloween time?
Yeah, but only as the minis.
Bunch of Crunch is still a thing because anytime we go to the movies, Moret has to get Bunch of Crunch.
Yeah, I feel
and
like
I'll
that's
take a
definite
nibble
movie
or two.
theater. Yeah.
Yeah. People who put Bunch of Crunch in chocolate, though, or in popcorn, though, weird. People do that. Yeah, people also put like those like caramel guys in popcorn. The chocolate caramel guys. What are those called?
Oh, Milk Duds?
Milk Duds are Milk Duds. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Bunch of Crunch would make sense to me if you're doing like a chocolate, drizzled popcorn or something, but a Milk Dud in popcorn, that's
people do it.
Straight to jail.
Yeah. In other sports news, Joe Louis Arena was rocking on Sunday night. Red Wings beating the Flames fucking 6-3, bud. Brendan Shanahan with a goal.
I thought you hated the Red Wings or something.
I do hate the
I feel
Red
like
Wings.
You've said that before.
Yeah, I don't like them. And they also do go on to win the cup, I believe, for 2 years in a row in 98.
Interesting.
So we
How do you
talked
feel
about
about
them
the
winning.
Flames?
I like the Flames, Canadian team.
Yeah.
Nothing against them.
Mm-hmm.
Jerome McGinley's a legend.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
In sports news that you might know a little more about, though, the Lakers fucking whomped on the Golden State Warriors.
Sheesh.
Shaq with 27 and 19 rebounds.
My God.
Kobe with 25, 5 and 3.
Yeah.
Pretty solid showing. Rick Fox. Shout out to Rick Fox.
Yo, check out Derek Fisher on the scorecard. D-Fish, dude.
Hell yeah.
The chunk with the dunk. He was
0 points and 10 assists. The chunk with the dunk. Love that.
Yeah, he was a Thunder player for a while. He came in kind of late in his career and played for the Thunder, and it was really nice to see him. He was still shooting threes even late in his career.
He had some good moments with the Thunder, actually. Shout out Derek Fisher. Shout out to this segment. Let's get in.
Oh, that's Horry. I thought that said Robert Horny.
Robert Horry, actually.
Yeah.
Lakers legend.
My eyes saw Horny for some reason.
Robert Horny. Shout out to Robert Horny too.
Bobby Horny.
Do you want to give us the synopsis of this episode?
Yeah.
And then we've got a little surprise for your ass.
Ooh, surprise. It's a real simple synopsis for season 2, episode 6. Husky Bobby aired on November 9th, 1997. Episode description is much to Hank's dismay, Bobby becomes a plus-sized model. It's directed by Archer and Archer, written by Judge, Daniels, and Collier. We know them.
We know him and we love him.
We do know him and love him. And then there's going to be a handful of guest stars, some minor guest stars in this episode, and we'll talk about them when we get into it. Yeah.
Interesting. Before we do that, though, Chris, I got a little something for you, bitch. The screen cap quiz
Ooh,
is back. Are you ready to get pegged
peg quiz.
on the peg quiz?
Mhm.
I put together a collection of 6 questions for you, Chris, on this episode before we go into the recap. All screen cap related, all right?
Lovely.
So number 1, if you could give me the name of the store that the Hills go shopping at the beginning of the episode.
That's going to be Shelwyn's brother.
That is correct.
Yes.
Shell wins. He's 1 for 1, folks.
Nice.
In this scene right here, what's the name of the paper that old Hanky boy's reading?
Ooh, this gave me pause for just a second, but I believe it's the Arlen Bystander.
That is correct.
That's a funny name for a newspaper to me. The
Good
Bystander.
memory. Yeah, the
Like, I was
innocent
just-
bystander.
I was just standing there.
All right, bit of a softball for you here, I would say. How much does Bob pay our
Oh,
boy
bro,
Bill
you
here?
skipped one. Do you want me to answer this one?
Oh shit. I did skip one. What was the dumpster in this ad? Or the dumper? The HP Dumpies or whatever
Okay.
its name was. What were HP Lovecraft's dumpers? What were they? What was the advertisement that they were sending out that Bobby was in? What were they promoting?
So this is going to be tough because I don't know if I remember seeing it on this page, but I think we see it in the front of their stores at the Great Fall Sale.
Bro, are you cheating?
No, but I do remember they had the sign in the front of the store.
Damn. With
Yeah.
the memory over here.
Yeah, dude.
My guy.
Can't fool me, dog.
Undefeated. All right.
I also
next.
just watched this like an hour ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps. Next up, how much is Bob paying Bill right here?
So this one I
doing
don't
his
entirely know. I think it's like $2. Is it $2? No.
It's 1, brother. It's
$1.
1. That is incorrect.
Dang. That's
No more perfect game for you.
oof. Bobby got a pretty good deal on that.
Yeah, that's a pretty great deal, actually. Next up, what's the number on the tarp that Bud's rocking here?
Oh shoot. I don't know.
This is a hard one. Also,
this is hard.
sandals. Come on.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too when I saw this.
Got the
scene.
Z1s on, brother.
I want to
Care to
say
venture a guess?
I feel like it's a single digit, but just because I don't know it,
I'll
I'm
tell
gonna
you that
say
that is correct.
69.
It's not 69.
Is
I'm
it 3?
afraid. It is
Is it-
3.
Oh, hey. That was actually my first guess, but I wanted to make
Well,
a
it doesn't count.
joke.
Doesn't count.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I committed to the bit and
All right, what's this guy's name?
Oh, that is H. Dumpty, Hal
Yes, but-
Dumpty, better known as H.P. Lovecraft's Dumper.
HP Dumpers. That is
HP
correct.
So, listeners, if you are just listening and not watching on YouTube, you kind of missed a lot of the questions here in the pop quiz. So if you want to see what we're talking about,
Yeah.
listeners, come join us on YouTube. And if you want to see Brad doing
Yeah.
a very suspicious dance,
I
come
didn't do
join us on
nothing.
YouTube.
I didn't do
What are
nothing.
you doing, step bro?
All right, let's crack into this episode, man.
Hilarious. Yeah, dude, let's get into it.
Let's try to keep her in the hour mark.
Okay. Good luck to us. Yeah, so it's a hot open on this one. Theme song straight into the opening scenes. We see
You love to see it.
the Hills are going shopping at a place called Shelwyn's, which is a store that
Correct.
Hank loves Shelwyn's. He's admiring a pair of work boots in the windows, and he says,
Yep.
a fella can get a lot of work done in shoes like that. Peggy is admiring some earrings, and Hank tells her to be practical because earrings don't keep you warm.
And that's not always true.
Yeah, not entirely true. It depends on the size of the earring.
Yeah.
And the ambient temperature around the lobe.
Exactly.
Yep. So we're inside Shellwinds. Bobby is trying on some pants. We get a transition shot. We see the shoes in the window, then we see the shoes on Hank's feet.
Yeah, that was a nice little move there.
Nice transition, and then we do see
Like that.
Peggy has a coat on. So it looks like Hank found some shoes, Peggy found a coat, and Bobby
I didn't notice that.
yeah, she
She's
doesn't
wearing
have
a
a coat
coat.
in the beginning,
She was
and then
not
she
wearing a
gets a
coat a
coat.
moment ago. Must be
Mhm.
drafty in here.
Yep, she gets a coat. Bobby is trying some pants, but they're not working, and Hank is going to ask the salesperson for some help operating these pants,
Yeah.
which I think is a funny
He's
way
in
to say.
denial, I think, that his kid
Mhm.
is fat.
Yes, the salesperson here is wearing a name tag that says DILE, Dilly.
It does say dial.
It does say Dial, and this is going to be our first guest star of the episode. This is going to
Oh
be
shit. Who is
Steve,
dial? Let me guess. Steve Buscemi.
Vinovich.
Ah.
Steve Vinovich. No, that'd be great if it was Steve Buscemi.
Man, Steve Menovich played dial? That's
Steve
crazy.
Vinovich, yes. 90s kids will recognize Steve Vinovich for his role in Family Matters. He's the principal in Malcolm in the Middle. Spent a lot of time on ER.
Nice.
So he's done a lot of sitcom type
Legend.
stuff all the way throughout the 90s.
But his most prestigious role of all was Dial, the
Dial, the-
Shellwin sales guy.
Yes. So Hank asks for some help operating these pants, and Dial is going to tell them.
Shout out to Dial, man.
He's Dial's like, this might not be the right time in your son's life for shopping at Shellwinds. And they're like, what do you mean? And he's like, well,
He's not a Shellwins boy.
your son is special. And he essentially goes on to call Bobby fat.
Yes.
And they ask like, how special is he? And he's like, for your son's height,
special is he?
for your son's height, he's very special.
Did you remember this episode at all going into it?
I did not. I didn't remember this episode at
but
all.
Holy shit, did I relate to it? Because Chris, I was a chunky little boy, and around Bobby's
Husky
age,
Bradley.
Yeah, I'll throw up a picture of fat me. Peaked out at 280, nephews. I was a big old boy for a little while. But I distinctly remember being around Bobby's age and having the realization that I was a fat child.
Yeah.
Mainly because people told me a lot.
Yeah.
Classmates, people on the street, teachers, my parents.
I had that in the back of my mind whenever I was watching this. I was like, Brad's gonna have some relation here, but I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to be an asshole.
No, I definitely did. And I exclusively from middle school through high school wore like stretchy like splash pants because they fit me better.
Nice. Well,
and made me faster.
The salesperson tells him, yeah, you might try H Dumpties, and
you gotta go to HP Dumpies.
H Dumpties. Hank says, let's go tell Bobby he's fat. Dial says, that word's not gonna make you many friends at H Dumpties.
Yeah.
So the Hills get in the truck.
I love the scene in the truck.
The truck is very funny.
They're so nervous.
Telling Bobby they're going to a special store, and Peggy uses the snowflake analogy. Every snowflake is special and unique, and Hank's like, some are bigger than others,
and some are fat as shit.
Bobby has a funny line. He goes, "Are you taking me to the vet?"
Yeah, that was good.
So they pull up to H Dumpties where they are
Say it right,
advertising.
man. Say it right.
HP Dumped Craft. They are advertising for the Great Fall Sale.
Yeah, that is correct.
And Peggy and Hank are really hyping up the store as they're in there. They're like, "Look at these overalls in such great colors."
So many overalls.
And Hank is like, "You know what I like about this store? They've got these pants that stretch. Must be some type of space age polymer." And Bobby's like, "Why do they need to stretch so much?" And Hank's like, "Oh, for like sports and skateboarding."
Bobby's like, none of these kids look like they do sports.
Yes.
And I love the like mom with the two kids that walk by. I'll throw a picture up. This
Big mom with the
kid,
2 kids.
this kid with the red shirt and the Nikes on is
Yeah.
steezed out.
Dude,
He's
he's
looking
tripped
good.
out. H Dumpty's got the swag.
HP Dumpy got that swag.
Yes. Yeah, Bobby said these kids don't look like they play sports. They're shopping with ice cream in their hands and touching clothes with with the ice cream. Like, come on.
So
Uh
funny. This
yeah.
other kid who's like over looking at the clothes and they're eating ice cream. He looks like a 45-year-old man.
Yeah, they do look really old. Yeah, Bobby said these kids don't look like they like sports, and Hank's like, sure they do. They're wearing ball caps and sneakers, aren't they? Bobby's like, this is a fat kid's store, and Bobby
Yeah.
immediately gets really deflated and kind of down on himself.
I felt it.
Peggy
In my
rushes
holes.
to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it in my holes. I am rectangular.
Bobby is a little rectangular.
He's built like a fridge.
Yeah, so Bobby's down on himself. Peggy and Hank kind of rush to him to comfort him, and Peggy says, you're not fat, you're just different. And she says being different is the best thing in the whole wide world, to which Bobby says, is that true, Dad? And it takes Hank a second to answer.
It takes part of his soul away from him.
Yes.
He says
Bobby's like, is it true, Dad? It's being different, the best thing in the whole wide world. And Hank eventually concedes and said, sure it is, which is very funny.
And he's dying inside.
Then we get a nice fashion montage of Bobby trying on all these clothes.
They'll
which I
all
thought
be
was
up on
very
the
fun.
screen. These outfits are spectacular.
Yeah, Bobby is dripped out in this one. He's dripped out with the Riz, I think, as the children say. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Sound out in the comments if we're boomers.
Good. Hey, don't loop me in on that. I know all of the slang. Fellow kids.
So H Dumpty, Hal Dumpty himself is gonna come up. Oh, what's up? What you got?
Mr. Dumpy to
Mr.
you.
Dumpty, excuse me.
Yeah, Bobby's looking so hot that he attracts a middle-aged man.
There's a little bit of that in this episode, slightly.
We'll talk
about it later on, but yeah, Mr. Dumpty is gonna come up and say, I was just noticing your boy, and Hank is like, I'll tell him to, cut it out or whatever. And Hal Dumpty is like, no,
he's hot.
You look great in my clothes. Matter of fact, Mr. Dumpty wants Bobby to model. They've got an ad coming out in the Arlen Bystander, and he wants Bobby to model, which immediately gets Bobby pretty excited, and Hank is immediately freaked out and does not want this to happen.
Yeah.
Hank says no, they're too busy. And he's like, well, we're too busy today. And Hal's like, well, the photo shoot's tomorrow. And he's like, we're also busy tomorrow. And Peggy's like, what are we doing tomorrow? And Hank's like, it's a surprise, and I can't tell you. So Hank's trying to shut it down.
Good cover. Yeah.
Yeah. After H Dumpty's, we're back in the home. Bobby is in his room admiring his new outfits. Luann comes to the doorway, and Bobby's like, Luann, you notice anything different about me? And Luann said, did I cut your hair? Which is funny that Luann doesn't remember if she cut his hair. Bobby's like, no, finally got clothes that fit. He says, I thought I was an extra, extra large, but turns out I'm a medium. Which I thought was pretty funny. Yeah.
I did love Luann in this scene. She's just immediately supportive and offers to help.
Yeah,
in true Luann fashion.
Bobby tells Luann that she's, been offered a modeling job, and Luann is like, Bobby, models are the happiest people in the world. Which I thought was funny. She says you have someone to style your hair, and Luann offers to be Bobby's driver / stylist because she's working towards her license in both.
So canonically, Luann does not have a driver's license.
Canonically, she does not have a driver's license, yet she is going to offer to drive Bobby.
And we have seen her drive multiple times.
We have seen
already.
Her drive, yeah.
She drove Bobby to the Halloween thing in the Halloween episode just a couple episodes ago. So
hilarious.
That's good to know. There's some good Luann like unearthings in this episode. Big
Yes,
one coming up a
definitely.
little
There's a
later.
really good small Luann scene.
Yeah.
She's really kind of a bit player in this one, but she does good.
She always comes to play.
So then we kind of get the next day. It's really a flash forward, and Bobby approaches Hank, who's reading a newspaper at the table, and he's like, "Wait a
And that
second, this
newspaper is called
the Arlen Bystander."
Yeah.
He's like, "Wait a second, this isn't a restaurant review; it's a paid advertisement." He's incapable of distinguishing an ad from a genuine review. Very funny. Bobby opens
Bonehead.
up by saying, "A man took pictures of me," which Hank immediately was like, "What?" Very concerned, and
That's good.
Bobby says, "It was for the H Dumpty ad," and Hank says,
HP Dumpies.
"I thought we said I was too busy for you to model."
I love the pictures that he pulls out. The one of him with the oven mitt holding the like tray of muffins with his butt out.
Yes, it's
Holy shit, dude.
some of the photos here are they're a little risque. I mean, we kind of get the, clabber salt girl, little cheeky booty shot in there. But yeah, they're a little
Wait, the
sus.
what salt?
Clabber salt, isn't that
Isn't
the
it
brand?
Morton, brother?
It is Morton. I don't
And
know why
aren't
I'm
you
getting
thinking of the
Clabber.
sunscreen ad?
Yeah, and yeah, dude, you're right. The Morton salt
The
girl.
Morton Salt
she
Girl
has the
doesn't have her
salt in the
ass out,
puppy.
man. Copper
Yeah.
tone suntan lotion
Yeah, she's
had the
got
little
butt
girl
out.
with the dog and the butt.
Yeah, and Clabber is baking powder. What the fuck am I
Bro,
doing?
are you okay?
I'm gonna have to quit the pod.
Are you good, man? Do we need to start over?
Dude, I'm getting my product mascots all wrong today.
It's
So
okay.
yeah, at that photo of him kind of with his butt out, Bobby says, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite too. That's the one that's gonna be in tomorrow's paper tomorrow." He
Yep.
repeats tomorrow. But then we
Hank
get a
has a heart
shocked,
attack.
yeah, we get a shocked Bois face from Hank, and that's where it cuts to the first commercial break.
And
The
then we go straight into the next day.
Yeah, straight into the next day. Hank is on the phone and he is threatening Mr. Dumpty. He says, "If you run that ad, he won't be able to go back to school. You've seen his picture. He's not good with his fists."
Yeah.
Hank is really concerned that Bobby is going to get bullied over this.
Which is a valid concern,
Yes,
but not very supportive.
it's
of my
not
guy.
very supportive. But yeah, Hank is very concerned for Bobby's emotional well-being throughout this. I think that's the place that Hank is coming from, and we'll see why.
Well, it seems
here
like
in a
he's
moment.
equally worried about himself being embarrassed.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
That too, but he's Hank is gonna run out to the street and he's gonna
Love
try to
this.
pull as many ads as possible out of all these newspapers. And while he's tearing out these H Dumpty ads, Bill is standing over him. He's like, "Oh, hi, Bill." And Bill is like, "Did you come over to have breakfast with me because you thought I was lonely?" And Hank's like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And Bill is excitedly is like, "Okay, I'll start grating the potatoes." And then Hank just walks away.
So good. Poor Bill, man.
So good. That's like all we get of Bill this episode
His
is
immediate thought is, "You came to be with me because you thought I was lonely."
and then
Ugh.
Hank says, "Yes, that's what I'm here to do." And then he doesn't do it.
He leaves. Cold-blooded.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
So we're back in the kitchen. Bobby is cutting out his advertisement. Bobby is very proud. Hank is very discouraging. Peggy gets off the phone with the second biggest talent agent in all of Arlen.
Important distinction.
Yeah, second largest. Hank is gonna pull Peggy into the living room to kind of talk about why he's encouraging him, and this is where we get that outbreak reference.
Oh yeah,
So
the pandemic thing.
yeah, Peggy is like, I don't see what's wrong with encouraging him. And Hank is like, I'm trying to contain an outbreak here, and you're driving the monkey to the airport. So that's your
Yeah.
outbreak references here, where Peggy and Hank are kind of arguing about should they allow Bobby to do this. Peggy's very supportive. Hank is very not. Hank says that, kids always bully the one who's different. We get a flashback here of
It's super short flashback.
very
but
short
it's good.
flashback. It's Hank sitting on a bench, and you see a shadow approach him. And at first it looks like, Hank says kids always bully the one who's different. So you're like, are we going to
Hank
get a
got
flashback?
bullied.
But no, yeah, Hank does the bullying. He just
Hard
says,
right turn there.
He just says, "Hey, fatty, you are fat."
Psych!
That was a good little like subversion of expectations gag.
Yeah,
I appreciated that.
I liked that one. It was a nicely written little flashback there. But we come back to and Peggy is like, well, I don't know if you watch TV, and Hank's like, I watch TV.
How
She's-
good you.
She says, in this day we celebrate our differences, and Hank, shuts it down, saying that, if Bobby in 10 years has nothing to say on the Oprah Winfrey show, then that's worth it or whatever.
And meanwhile, Bobby is showing Luann his like treasured possession scrapbook.
His memory book, which has his birth certificate, a leaf, and now this.
So just 3 things.
Just 3 things: being born, finding a leaf, and being a model for H Dumpty.
It's a good life.
It is.
HP dumpies.
HP dump trucks. So then we get a cut over to the talent agency,
Which is in between a liquor store and a dentist office
yes,
in a strip mall.
it's a small town. The talent agent probably runs one of those 2 other shops.
Yeah.
So the talent agent says, I saw your ad. It's a great place to start. He offers Peggy and Bobby some water, and Bobby is like, wow, it's in a bottle.
Fancy.
And he's like, when you get to the top, almost everything is, which I thought was pretty
That is
funny.
really
And
good.
Peggy puts it in her purse. She's like, I'm not thirsty now, but I might be
Just
later.
gonna save it. Yeah.
Which kind of led me to think, like, when did bottled water become popular?
I feel like it was probably around this time.
Like, was it the late 90s when bottled
Yeah.
water started to becoming popular?
I remember when my parents started buying it, and it was probably
somebody's
around this period.
already searched that.
Remember Crystal Light, that powder shit that you would
Oh,
put in
yes,
water?
dude. Uh-huh.
I'd get down on that shit in the ice cold plastic bottle.
Yeah,
Damn.
so it looks like bottled water really started popping off in the late 70s, but I'm guessing, late 70s to early 80s is kind of when it started popping off. Yeah,
Interesting.
Hmm.
Bottled water facts for you.
Water facts, folks. That's what you tune in for. So this talent agent thinks that Bobby could be the next Andy Maynard. And Bobby's like, hey,
Perfect
I know
name
him.
for a fat kid model.
Andy Maynard.
Softies.
Softies, soft serve. Yeah. Bobby's like, hey, I know him. He likes a Sunday even on a Monday. Peggy said, I didn't even know he was real.
What does that mean?
Yeah, maybe he's like CGI or something like that.
I don't know. That wasn't really a thing in 1997, but all right.
Yeah. Very funny. The talent agent is going to bring up this other catalog shoot account, and Bobby's very determined. Like, Bobby's into being a model and he wants to pursue it. And he says, I want that account. Yeah. Bobby's driven.
So good.
Yeah, so we're gonna switch back to the house here. Bobby's at the table eating peanut butter with a spoon.
In there, Bob.
Hank is gonna walk up and wants to play catch with Bobby. Bobby says he's got a catalog shoot. He's got to watch his shape. Hank kind of tries to bribe Bobby here to get away from this idea of modeling, and he's like, "Well, if you come play catch with me, I'll buy you that album you want by those guys I hate." Which I
Who do
kind of
you
wish.
think it was?
I don't know. I kind of
Like
wish
Limp
we would have got
Bizkit?
it. It's late '90s, man. Who knows? Ooh, it could have been like
Jeff
Green.
Buckley.
It could have been Green Day, perhaps.
Hmm, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
future
safe bet.
future spoiler for
Yeah.
next ep.
Wait, what? Green Day?
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, you haven't watched ahead, have you?
No, I don't do
Mm.
that.
Yeah,
I'm a good
spoiler.
little boy.
Well, you folks, you got to come back next ep.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah. So yeah, Bobby tells him, "No, I actually already bought that myself."
Yeah,
He's
he's
kind of
rich now.
he kind of puts Hank to shame. He's like, "I also bought that bike helmet you said you'd buy me," which I think is funny that Hank
Yep.
wouldn't buy him a helmet.
And then
Um,
Bill comes in after being paid by Bobby to do his chores for him.
Yep. He ranks I think he calls him Mr. Hill too.
Yeah. And then Bobby gives him $1.
Gives him $1. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Hank gets on to him. It's like the leaves are your responsibility. And he was like, "The yard is raked. I have a job to do." I really loved Bobby in that scene. It was very funny.
Big time in him.
So it's going to be the next day. We cut to the alley with Hank, Boomhauer, and Dale. Peggy is going to holler out the sliding glass door that, we're headed to the photo shoot. And Hank is going to try to cover his ass here in front of Dale and Boomhauer. He just tells him that they're going to get some family photos taken. And Boomhauer and Dale immediately start making fun of him.
They roast
just-
the fuck out of him.
For like just getting some photos taken.
So
They're
good.
like, "You got to bring your comb," and Boomhauer, calls him looking all sissy like and all this stuff. It's very funny. And Hank kind of gets frustrated and says like, "You ought to watch out talking about people like that. You could hurt someone's feelings. You could hurt their feelings." And then Boomhauer and Dale just laugh at him.
And we
whenever
just
they
get a
s-
shot of Hank looking so mad.
Yeah. So
This is ruining his life.
Boomhauer and Dale bully Hank about getting his photos taken. Yeah, this whole Bobby modeling thing is really pressing Hank super hard. It's really
He just
bothering him.
knows. He knows that it's going to result in him getting bullied and Bobby getting bullied.
He knows.
You should never do anything creative.
No, never risk.
Never
take
try
risks.
anything.
Never try to make a
yes.
King of the Hill podcast.
Yeah.
Specifically, never try to record season 1, episode 8.
Well, that's a given.
You'll only get your heart broken by Fergie.
Yeah. We're going to win that lawsuit, though.
Mhm. So we move on to the photo shoot, and I watched the episodes with subtitles on, and it's very funny in the subtitles whenever they go to the photo shoot, it says Euro trash music playing,
That's
which I thought was very funny.
That's awesome.
So Hank shows up to the photo shoot. There's a bunch of Euro trash music playing and a bunch of models walking around. There's like
Just
a
looking
lady with a
scary.
snake. Yeah. Lady with a snake, lady with an iguana, a guy with a like spiked up mohawk. It's very
People have
cool.
tattoos.
Mm-hmm. Bobby is a natural though. He, pulls Hank, Hank finds him. Bobby tells him, sit down and settle. That means get a plate. He's like, don't mess with Carlo because he just had an argument with his boyfriend or whatever. Peggy and Luann are also there.
Just kind of fangirling.
Fangirling's there for support.
Yeah.
Bobby is definitely a natural here. Hank tells Peggy that he feels like he's died and gone to New York. Pretty funny.
Hank's least favorite place.
Yes. But it's going to be time for Bobby to get in front of the camera again, and he's dressed in a little birthday set here, and we have
Shorts.
the model who is voiced by David Herman, who's listed as a guest star in this episode. But David Herman makes a lot of appearances as minor voice characters on King of the Hill, so I don't necessarily know if I would call him a guest star. I would probably call him like a frequent guest. But yeah, David Herman.
Is this Carlo? That
Yes,
you're
this is
talking about?
Carlo. The
So this is the
director.
only appearance we ever get of Carlo.
Yes. I think so. But we do get David
But
Herman.
voiced by a regular.
Yeah, voiced by a regular.
Got it.
Yes. He's like, it's your birthday. like, "Ooh, you're so happy." He's like, "Make a wish, but don't tell anyone."
Excellent direction. And
then
Bobby's crushing it.
Bobby is crushing it. He's a natural. We switched to this football scene where Bobby is wearing a headband, a sweatband, and
Sandals.
sandals.
So they
And
must just be shooting waist and up. It's
yeah,
not a full body shot.
Carlo is going to say, they can't tackle you because they're so stylish. He says, go to the 50, go to the 60, which is funny because there is no 60-yard line in football.
Didn't catch that, bud.
You
You're
didn't
not
catch that
talking
one?
about the blue line or the red line or the hash marks.
Yeah. After 50, it just goes back to 40 and 30
Got
the
it.
other way. Little football joke there for you. Then we switched to a little a lifeguard shot, and Carlo is like, "Oh, look at you, Mr. Lifeguard. Everyone splishes and splashes, but not you."
He's got a little sunscreen on his nose.
He's a little zinc oxide and a whistle.
So good.
Hank is going to shut it down though, and immediately starts to like kind of go into denial mode where he's like, "This never happened. I wasn't here. Nobody was here." Which is something we also got in the Texas City Twister episode at the end where he was
Yeah.
naked. He just straight up denies
Yeah.
that it happened. He's like, "This
It's
didn't
kind
happen."
of the boomer MO. You just repress it
Yes.
and we never talk about it again.
Yep. So Hank is repressing
Yeah.
IRL in real time. He is
Yep.
repressing
It's
a memory
impressive.
before it gets in.
Impressive repression.
Ooh, yeah. So Hank pulls everybody out of there, and then we're back in the truck, which interesting
I love
note
this
here.
scene.
This scene was very funny, but they drove separately. So did they leave a car at the photo shoot?
Oh yeah, damn. Man, you're catching them on all their shit today, brother.
Yeah, dude. Taking notes. Yeah, so this truck scene is very funny. Everyone is going to try to talk to Hank. Peggy is going to open it up by saying Hanky, which is funny because this is the first time I've ever heard Peggy call Hank Hanky.
I feel like there may have been one instance in season 1.
Perhaps in the bed. Maybe that's what she calls him in private.
No. But it was someone else that called him Hanky. It was
It was the old lady, his teacher.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the
Hank's
doctor's office with
Hank's
the butt.
unmentionable problem. Yeah.
She goes, Hanky.
Hanky, and he's like, no. Bobby says dad, and Hank's like, no. And then Luann says Uncle Hank, and he's like, no. And Luann's like, you didn't even know what I was gonna say. Bobby kind of, outbursts and is like, I've been looking forward to this fashion show for hours. And Hank, just really shuts it down, says, there are times when a father knows best, and this is one of those times. Hank shuts it down, and then we get the nice line from Luann to end the scene, that Luann's hair is caught in the door.
And that's what she was trying to tell him all along.
Yes,
Poor
very
Luann.
funny.
How does that happen?
She shoved her hair in the door.
And yeah, so good.
So
Gotta
funny.
love her.
Gotta love her. So then we get, we're back at the home. Hank and Peggy are in bed.
Peggy's got curlers in.
Peggy's got curlers in. I noted that as well.
And then the next morning, she doesn't have the crazy troll doll hair that she typically has in the morning.
Yes.
So.
But Hank, before going to bed, says, this is our fault. Somewhere along the line, we forgot to teach Bobby shame. He says we can't count on the schools, which I thought was very funny because that's where a lot of kids learn shame is in public school.
That's an important thing to learn, everyone.
So
bullying works.
Hank says by the morning time that Bobby will have forgotten all about the fashion show. And then the next morning we see Bobby sneaking out of the front door. He's called a cab.
He's got one of those like suit cover things.
Mm-hmm.
Hangs it in the window to block himself from being seen. Sly.
And that is where our second commercial break comes in.
Commercial break alert.
Act 3. It's the morning, and Hank comes into the kitchen. Peggy's hair is looking good because she used the curlers. Good catch.
Yeah.
Hank is like, is Bobby still sleeping? And Peggy is like, why not? He has nothing to wake up for.
Peggy was in on it, right?
Um, I don't know. I don't think so actually here
Eh.
because of how annoyed with Hank she is. I
But why
think
would she have taken the time to do her hair up all nice if she didn't think she was going to be going to a fashion show by the end of
ooh,
the day?
that's a good point. That's a good point.
I
I don't
think Peg
know.
might have been in on it.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll buy that. I'll buy that. I think that's pretty plausible now that I think about
Yeah.
it. But yeah,
Luann wasn't though.
no, Luann wasn't. So
She's doing something else.
Hank is going to go into Bobby's room to apologize to him. And he starts to apologize to Bobby, and Hank has a very funny line here, where he says, one day you'll understand how much love it takes to crush a little boy's dreams.
But Bobby ain't
Absolutely.
there.
Bobby ain't there. Bobby put a body double, pillow and a football in the bed. Hank,
Question. Have you ever
Mm.
done this?
No.
I have.
Oh, this exact thing, like put a fake body in the bed.
Yep. Mhm.
Nice, dude. Where were you going?
I would sneak out.
Oh yeah.
If anyone's watching this,
Is this the time
mom.
you snuck out to spray paint a weed leaf on a water tower and got caught by the cops?
No, actually, back then we had like a basement and I could just slip out of the basement window. But when I lived
Nice.
in Oklahoma when I was in high school, I would do the body double thing and I'd sneak out,
Nice.
go hang out with neighborhood friends and do
Throw
hood rat shit.
throw rocks at cars.
No,
Spit off the overpass.
mostly smoke weed.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the statute of limitation on that?
I mean, it's legal now, so
I'm reporting you to the cops.
come and get me.
Yeah. So yeah, Bobby is gone. Hank is gonna freak out and he's gonna go into Luann's room to try to figure out where Bobby has gone. He pulls the covers back. Well, at first they're not Luann's not responding, pretending to be asleep, and Hank's like, "Not you too." Pulls the covers back, and it's Luann and Buckley are in the bed.
Buckley's back.
Buckley snuck in and stayed the night. Very funny scene there. This cracked me up. And Hank's like, I'm kind of in a crisis right now. You two take turns kicking each other's asses.
Yep. And I'm sure they will. But like I said,
More like
two pretty
licking
big.
each other's asses.
Hey,
Ooh.
rimming. My soundboard is not loading.
Oh,
I'm gonna
hilarious.
come.
There we go.
Come.
But like I said,
Hilarious.
we get to learn a good amount. A couple big bombshells for Luann. We learned that she didn't have a driver's license, and also
Mhm.
that her and Buckley is seemingly back together.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess that's true.
Because last we saw him, it was when they broke up. Yeah.
mm, I think we might have gotten. Yeah, that might have been the last time we saw him in
Yeah.
Luann's saga.
Luann's saga.
They were broken up in season 1. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit of Luann Buckley scene next episode. Come back, folks.
Okay.
I've been watching ahead.
Now I'm really on board.
I love this show. I watch it a lot. We then cut to the mall where Bobby checks in for the fashion show. With
Little
the
Junior
receptionist.
Plus.
Little Junior Plus fashion show. Bobby gets checked in. The receptionist says, your talent, here's your gift bag. Bobby gets a little, purse looking thing. He pulls it out and he says, ooh, toilet water. Is this for emergencies?
Do you know what he's referring to?
That would be cologne.
Eau de toilette.
Eau de toilette.
Which does just mean toilet water.
Yes. And I believe that, I think like eau de toilette versus like perfume and that type of thing actually is like, I think a classification of how much of the liquid is fragrance versus water. And I think toilet water is like a lower concentration of fragrance.
So it's like a lower quality.
Yeah, it's cut. It's been cut.
It's cut with shit water, brother.
Fragrance facts. Yes. This is our second guest star of the episode is going to be here for the receptionist. This is the receptionist is played by Joanna Gleason, who
Whom?
is also Joanna Gleason. Don't you know? She's also a sitcom actor. She's
Mm,
known for a lot of different things. She's in Boogie Nights.
okay.
She notably, for a Friends connection for you, I know you're a Friends guy. She plays Rachel's boss that smokes
Oh yeah, say no
on
more.
Friends. Yeah. So yeah, second guest star here is Joanna Gleason. She plays
Nice.
the lady
Shout out
checking in.
Joanna.
Yep. So that's our second guest star of the episode. And here at the fashion show, we see Dooley and this gang of ne'er-do-wells coming
Yeah,
into the mall. And there's like
as ne'er-do-wells tend to do.
they're at the mall. He's like, what's this for? And she's
And
like, it's the
meanwhile, Hank is speeding towards the mall.
speeding through traffic. There's a reason he put 87 octane in his truck.
Yeah, it's almost as if he knows that there are bullies there.
He does. He alluded to it earlier in the episode, but yeah,
Yeah.
Hank is driving recklessly to get to the mall. Peggy in the driving scene is like, it doesn't matter. We're gonna miss his big moment anyways. Um,
So maybe
so
she didn't know.
yeah, I don't think she did. Maybe she did. Who knows?
Yeah, the curlers thing threw me off, but
So yeah, then we're backstage at the fashion show, and this is where we see Andy Maynard in the
Andy
flesh.
Maynard kind of looks like Andy Richter.
A little bit, yeah, actually. Andy Maynard is played by our third guest star for the episode. That's going to be
Andy Richter.
close. Andy Maynard is played by a woman, Patricia Childress. She is an actress and notably a producer. One of her big she's known for being a producer on the Tyra Banks show, which I don't
Mm,
think the Tyra Banks show was airing at this time, but I thought it was very interesting that
yeah.
a child model is played by someone who produced a show about a model, Tyra Banks. And
Whoa.
Andy Maynard does have the rude, pushy model vibe to him. He
Yeah.
pushes Bobby's bag off of the makeup counter and says he claimed this whole counter.
He's
He
the
asks,
top bitch.
he is the top. He goes first. He asks Bobby, "Do you want to get in trouble?" And Bobby says no, and he goes, "Go get me a brownie."
And
So
he's also fat.
he's really throwing his weight around.
Hey, that's good, man.
Yeah, so Hank and Peggy finally arrive at the mall. There's some stop and go traffic. Hank jumps a curb and parks in a no parking zone.
Fucking drives through like this whole partition thing.
Hank is worried.
He doesn't
Hank
even
is-
park.
Hank is going to bust into the dressing room of a child's beauty pageant, much like former President Donald Trump.
Future President Donald Trump.
I'm gonna come.
Do not come.
Calling it now.
Hey. Place your bets, folks, in the comments section. Fight about politics.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Anything for the engagement.
I did everything
please.
right and they indicted me.
But yes, Donald Trump did famously go into the dressing room at the Miss Teen USA pageant.
He did a lot of
and
bad stuff.
Hank busts into the dressing room here. I just thought that was funny. The agent is going to come up to Bobby and be like, "Bobby, don't say I didn't. Don't ever work hard for you. I got you going up first." And Hank's like, it doesn't matter because we're leaving. Hank's like, "Am I going to have to carry you out baby tantrum style, or are you going to come willingly?" Bobby is really going to dig his heels in here and say, he's never been first in anything. Bobby says, "Why can't you accept me for who I am?" Hank
Yeah.
is like, "We both saw that after school special, except I'm not an alcoholic and you're not a figure skater." Hank says he's just trying to keep Bobby from being embarrassed. And Bobby is like, "Are you trying to keep me from being embarrassed, or are you trying not to get embarrassed?" So Bobby makes a really good point here.
Yep. Spot on.
But Bobby starts to walk towards the exit. He tells his agent, "Doesn't matter. My dad says I can't do this." He's walking
I
towards
love
the
this.
exit, and Hank's like, "Bobby, wait." And
You think
Bob-
he's really gonna have a change of heart?
yeah, you think he's gonna have a change of heart, and Bobby's like, "Yeah, Dad." And Hank's like, "Drape this poncho over you."
So people can't see you until we get to the truck.
Yes. So the fashion show starts. There's some fun music playing, which we will not play for you because we've learned our lesson. But there's a fun song.
Wait, hold on.
playing
I got
here.
it right here.
Do you have it? No, the song is Gypsy Woman, She's Homeless, by Crystal Waters and the Basement Boys. If you haven't heard this song, it's very fun. It definitely
How does
sounds
it
like
go? Give us a little.
it's got a lot of
rendition
it's very like poppy late 90s vibey fashion kind of. It's a fun song.
Love that.
So check out Gypsy Woman, She's Homeless by Crystal Waters and the Basement
Great name.
Boys.
Great
Yes,
name all around.
that's a prominent line in the song, is that she's homeless. The song is kind of about a very attractive woman busking on the street corner trying to make some money, and they just call out that she's homeless quite a lot.
Weird.
It's a good song though. I feel like it made a resurgence on TikTok recently. It kind of sounds like that song "It Girl" by Alicia's Interlude, for those of you who are up on your TikTok songs. But yeah, anyways, Gypsy Woman. Hank is gonna drag Bobby out. Carries him
Bobby
over his
tries to
shoulder.
make a break for it.
Yeah, Bobby tries
And
to make
Hank
a break
just
for it.
catches him and is like, "Nah, that's not happening."
Yep. Bobby's little captain's hat falls off.
And Andy
Maynard
Richter picks it up.
Andy Maynard picks it up, says, "See you later, navigator." So the fashion show is going off, and Dooley and the gang immediately start assaulting the stage with donuts.
They just see a tray of donuts and they're like, "Well,
yes,
we have to throw these."
Yeah, it's very funny. A guy comes up with more donuts, and these teens are obviously throwing donuts, and he's like, "Hey, where do these go?" And Dooley's like,
Right
right here's fine."
So funny.
This whole
Legend.
scene, this whole scene of the donut throwing is a reference to the movie Platoon. Did you pick up on this?
I didn't, but that checks out.
It's listed in the IMDb page as well, and I haven't seen Platoon in a couple of years, but some of the scene with the glasses, it's shot for shot. Some of the really violent scenes of the movie
yo-yo
Platoon.
falling on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Platoon?
It's
Brad?
been a really long time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For our young listeners and watchers who haven't seen or watched Platoon, it's a movie about Vietnam. It's probably, I think, one of the best movies about Vietnam. It's
And
kind
that's
of
because you think
action-packed.
Vietnam was a just war.
Yes, and I think the United States won it. Yes. It's got
Sure,
a
man.
lot of stars in it. It stars Charlie Sheen, William Dafoe is in it.
Willem.
Forrest Whitaker is in it. Tom Berenger is in it. It's directed by Oliver Stone. Johnny Depp is in it. But yeah, it's kind of about good officers versus bad officers.
Recap all of the movie Platoon.
Yeah. Welcome to the Platoon cast.
Who is your platoon king?
My platoon king is Barnes, because
Mine is Forrest Whitaker.
the only thing that can kill Barnes is Barnes.
Mm.
Little platoon quote there for you. So yeah,
Wow.
it's a shot for shot kind of platoon reference here at the end.
This was great.
Bobby sees this go down and becomes grateful that Hank has protected him.
Yeah. He's like, how did you know that this was going to happen? And Hank was just like,
Anytime you put husky boys, teenagers are in donuts in the same place, like this is going to happen. So this is
valid.
Like, Hank is being a dick this entire episode and is really shutting Bobby down, but he says he's doing
right.
it. He was right. Yes, he was right.
Unfortunately, he was right.
Bobby is grateful for this though, and does say he expresses he's glad that Hank protected him, and expresses a lot of trust in Hank and says, I feel like this guy could get me out of anything. So it's a real nice moment there at the end.
Yeah, at least Bobby feels good about it in the end.
Bobby
It's
Bobby
really all you
says
can ask for.
he's gonna have Bill wash his car. I'm gonna have Bill wash your car, which is very funny.
And pay him $1.
As they're leaving the mall, there's a really funny exchange between Hank and Peggy to end the episode here. Hank is going to say that, this goes to show that the father always knows what's best for his kids, and the mother, though well-meaning, is usually wrong.
And Peggy just looks pissed.
Peggy pushes back and says that her lifetime average is still better. She says, do you remember Soloflex? And then she breaks into an impression of Hank, which is very funny. She's like,
tell you what,
it's cheaper than going to the gym, tell you what. And she's laughing at her own joke. And then she says, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, arms, chest, and back. As they're walking out.
Fucking roasted his ass, dude.
She does, dude. But that's pretty much the end of our episode.
We did it.
Yes. I think we kept around that hour mark there for the recap.
Pretty much, yeah.
You got any grievances to air for this one?
So are we going to step right out into the alley?
Into the alley.
Alrighty.
I'm gonna buy you a drink.
This is the segment of the show where we kind of break into our feelings about the episode and ultimately give it a rating because art should be ranked and given a score.
Yes.
We rank everything out of a 6-pack of Alamo brews. As far as grievances go for this one, not really. I think this was a pretty solid episode.
No qualms. No qualms to air.
Not qualming very hard, other than Hank being a dickhead, but it was funny that he was right in the end.
Yep.
So I can't really fault it too much for that.
Yeah, and he could have been a lot more encouraging to Bobby and still protected him from this fashion
definitely
show.
Not good parenting, but the gag of him ultimately being right and it being a complete shit show attacked by bullies is pretty funny.
Yeah. It worked out writing wise, but Hank was a bit of a dick in this one, but we
had a lot of good gags though. We had some really good Bill gags. We had some really good Luann gags.
Overall for me though, I think I have to land this one at like a 2.5.
That is so harsh, dude.
Yeah. It just it wasn't super duper strong for me. I didn't remember this one going into it, and I think if I saw, if I was in a hotel and I saw that King of the Hill was on and I was like, sick, I'm gonna watch some King of the Hill, and this was the episode, I might be a little disappointed. It just didn't have a lot of staying power for me.
I'd probably put it at like a 5.
Oh,
honestly.
really?
Yeah. I thought it was good. I thought the structure was really good. I thought there were some really funny visual gags, and just like the character animations were really funny of like the fat kids in the store. And the pictures of Bobby.
Yeah.
Like, visually it was very funny. There were tons of good like one-liner type jokes. We learned a lot. Luann and Buckley are back together.
Actually, I think for the Luann scene, I'll jump up to 3 for the Luann scenes. The Luann
finish that second and third.
Luann and Buckley in the bed was very funny.
Yeah, super good.
Yeah.
So you're going 3?
Yeah, but I think for me it was just a little mid compared to what we've already seen this season.
There are definitely better episodes. Yeah.
This was the first one this season that I thought was a little weak. This season started out super strong, and I think this one is a bit of a down.
I feel you on that.
It's really deep in guest stars and cultural references though.
Yeah. Solid on the reference front, Platoon style.
Platoon, a la Platoon. Yeah.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. A 3 and a 5.
3 and a 5.
And with that, we'll move on. to the final segment of the show, the Hill King segment, where we crown the king of this episode's hill. Who was the MVP of the ep? Who you got, brother? How you feeling about this one?
This one was a little difficult for me to pick out my king.
Yeah,
It's
no
a
one's
little
really
hard.
standing out to me.
No, it's
either.
it's a little tough, and I do think for this I am going to give it to Bobby. For
Okay,
me, I like
respectable.
that Bobby really comes into his own in this episode. He gets really excited about this and gets really committed to this. He feels like he's good at it. Yeah, I think it's Bobby for me.
Nice. I'm gonna go with Buckley
Oh,
because he got some.
Buckley doesn't even say.
Not a single line, but that scene was the funniest in the episode, I thought, and the look on his
So
face was
funny.
really funny.
Yes,
And
it
the
is.
you take turns kicking each other's asses was really funny. Like Hank doesn't have time to beat the shit out of Buckley, but he lucked out. He bucked out. My boy bucked it.
He bucked it.
I'm going
Dang,
Buckley.
That's very funny. That's very funny. He did also, I think he pulls the blanket up to his chest when he's like scared to be seen by Hank.
Yeah.
Nice. Good pull, the Buckley. I considered Buckley for a half second, but I was
I
like,
almost went Dooley, honestly, because
yeah,
that was funny.
Dooley being the antagonist in this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
You can just leave them right there.
Right there's fine.
Nice
dude.
and quick, Hill King.
Bobby and Buckley, B&B.
The B boys. Anything to close us out on?
I dropped a couple of hints for next episode. I think I dropped a hint about Green Day.
Yeah.
I
I'm
dropped
excited
another
to find out what that is all about.
I dropped another hint that I can't remember. Yeah.
Something about Luann, I think.
Oh yeah, Luann and Buckley. There's a Luann and
Okay,
Buckley scene
yeah.
in the next episode.
Cool. Well, I'm
Buckley has a
excited for
speaking
that.
part.
I hope y'all will tune back in for that because we'll
Yes.
be back
Mhm.
probably next week
Yeah, listeners come
to talk about it.
listeners, come check us out on YouTube. You can see our pop quiz. You can see Brad's dance moves.
You can see This Week in Arlen. You can see the Hill Kings.
You can see the fun photos we're going to put up with the fat kids in H dump trucks.
Yep, HP Dumpies.
Yep,
I want to make merch that says HP Dumpies on it.
HP dumpies.
Yeah, check us out on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that nonsense. Go and follow us on Instagram at Hill Kings Pod, and we will catch y'all next week.
Send us memes.
Send us memes also. Bye.
Bye. Go watch Platoon.
Go watch Mighty Ducks.
Watch Mighty Ducks. Watch Platoon. Listen to Gypsy Woman by Crystal Waters and the Basement Boys.
She's homeless.
She's homeless.
Hill Kings Podcast.
Woof.